Warning. We are not journalists. We are not players. We aren't even in a union. We simply love the Premier League and happen to live in America. We are not experts. We will say dumb shit. Thank you and welcome to Premerica.
It's a Premerican day, yay. Premier League in the United States, it's a Premerican day.
Michael, whatever just happened a minute ago with the whole anime thing just fucked me up.
No, it was
Premerica.
Hello and welcome back to Premerica. I'm your host, Mike Weinberg, joined by my dear friends Sam Thomas and Michael Liberman. Premerica is your virtual pub for all things Premier League right here in America. We talk a little shop, we talk a little shit, and most importantly, we keep you up to date on all things happening in the best league in the world. So grab your friends, let's talk Prem. It's been a pretty wild week since our last episode. We had Premier League games last weekend, we had Champions League this week. Some people lost in Prem and won during Champions. Some people lost in Prem, won in Prem, lost in Champions. It has been an interesting week for all parties involved. Yeah, I know. That's how confusing it is. How are we feeling, guys? How are we feeling going into the kind of long, crazy final stretch of the Prem season? What are we taking? Michael, you've got something. Bring it here.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's been a rough little go as an Arsenal fan. It's not been very sunshine and rainbows by any stretch of the imagination. I'm trying to keep things in perspective in terms of this is the first time in our history we've gotten to back-to-back semis in the Champions League, which is pretty cool. But, lots of really negative vibes going around Arsenal and even outside of the Arsenal sphere. So trying to take a page out of my good pal Mike here's book and just kind of find my zen with the whole thing. So it has been a journey of self-exploration, I would say, the last couple
And
weeks.
you just bought a house.
And I just bought a house. We signed on a condo earlier this week. We're moving in probably end of next week or early May. So
big things happening. Sam, what's your state?
I will take a more macro Premier League fan and general state and just say this is just it's awesome. It's we now have a last month of the season where there is officially now a title race, a substantially significant 3 or 4 teams potentially for Champions League battling race, and a true relegation scrap all in one season. And that, I genuinely don't know if I can remember a season where there was all 3 in one season. It's epic. Mm-mm. So just from an absolute state, like tomorrow, this weekend, which I know we'll get to, but this weekend, the plan the entire weekend is to watch, because every match has substantial stakes across the board, not just for our 3 teams, but just for everything. And so state of the Premier League fandom could not be more excited about the next month.
And to say, even to point out, Michael, what you just said, it's tough, it's rough, it's a really difficult time, everyone's afraid. It's you are still so substantially favored to win the Premier League, and you are in the semis for Champions League. It's it actually is almost as good as it gets for any team.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it does not feel that way. It does not feel that way at all. It feels like, everything's about to start burning or is burning.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Meanwhile, both Sam and my teams have been awful this year. We're both out of the Champions League and we're fighting for Champions League, or for next year. But because there's a little bit of, it's a different energy, but it is similar. It's funny.
I will say, this is kind of don't lump Chelsea in with Liverpool. I'm sorry.
Don't you fucking
get out of here.
Neither to you too. What, your team's been fucking terrible too.
Get out of here.
What are you fucking? Your team's
been
terrible.
Do not try to drag us into this thing of we're stop it. Stop.
We're the same. We're the same.
We're not the same.
Speaking of the same, you notice how much
we've won a match in the last month and a half. We're not the same. Okay, I'm done. Let's continue.
But I was have we? We have not. The international break didn't do us any favors. And also, you did. You beat Fulham last week. But let's talk real quick. before we look ahead, this last week was really interesting from a number of reasons. I think there were a lot of points dropped. United dropped points on Monday. And then one of the most interesting storylines from this past week and the week before with Atletico Madrid and Barcelona were red cards. I think it came up a number of times, and we had talked a little bit about it, how much it influences the game, how much it is changing, and how interesting it is for our sport, because there really is no sport that has anything like red cards. And for Chelsea, also this whole season, it's been defined by drop points because of red cards. What are our thoughts there on like red cards as it relates, I guess, to Prem and maybe to football and a larger scope?
It's definitely unique. The closest thing is basically like penalties in hockey, but even then, like the most extreme penalties are like for 5 minutes. It's not like you lose a player for the rest of the game and that player can't play in the next game. It's like pretty absurd.
Or sometimes the next 3 games, if it's a straight red, they sometimes give them 3-game suspensions.
Right, exactly. And like, especially when you actually look at like some of the calls that are leading to these reds, and they feel like very borderline to like really shift. It's so extreme one way or another. It's like, I don't know. It's pretty unique. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, so the Man United Leeds one, the guy got a red card for pulling Calvert-Lewin's ponytail.
Barely. He's just
like they were competing for like a header, if I'm not mistaken. He like kind of like nudged the ponytail and it was a straight red, and then United couldn't come back. But then the crazier ones was, and everybody predicted this when it was like Atletico versus Barcelona playing for the, I think like 6th time this year or something. Like, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be red cards. There was a red card both matches, and the red cards were incredibly influential both matches. And both red cards were soft as baby shit. Like they were like very borderline, and I guess both of them had to be called because this. But it's in general, I have three mini beefs with the best sport in the world.
Sliders, if you will.
Oh, I love a good slider.
No, that's actually great because that's what they are. It's not full beef, but it's like
Sam's sliders of the sport.
It's my beef sliders of the sport. One is red cards. It's too extreme.
I think I can guess 2.
What's 2?
VAR.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, VAR is absolutely 1, but it is one of the 3.
I mean, in the 3. So what is number 3?
We'll separately just do a Professor Sam's topic on VAR, where I will just convince you guys that it is just the worst thing ever because it's just anti-entertainment and it sucks. Number 3 is penalties. Similar to red cards, I think penalties are too big of a thing. It's impossible to score a goal. And then you give this guy a one-on-one from 8 yards out, 12 yards out from the goalie, and they score 70, 80% of the time. And a lot of times the penalties are on like little glitchy handballs or like little tugs in the box. Like, it's one thing if the guy is like really taken down, but like, so a lot of these things are like deflections or handballs. Like there's like a little touch, and then it's like
handballs. I completely agree with, because it is like, especially when it's close range and someone like kicks the ball, and then someone just like naturally in a position where their hands this and it hits the hand and it's a penalty. That feels really, really extreme and like completely changes the game.
And it's just the concept of a penalty kick, given how difficult it is to score. It seems disproportionate orders of magnitude. Like instead it should be just like, maybe you have to take a penalty kick with your weak foot, with your off foot, or something like make it a little bit more difficult, or like a penalty with like 2 goalies in the net or something like that.
Let's get in there as Americans and change a European staple and just make it better, right? That's what we do best, right, guys? Come on.
That's what we do. That is what we do.
Look at Todd Bowley.
You get to choose a fan from the away section to take the kick. That's honestly better odds. That's probably like a 10% chance of him making it. That's what it should be.
Or what about it has to be a retired player from the team. So you have to have a player on the team
who's
so
there in attendance that
exactly. So it'd be like Michael Carrick for Man United coming off as a manager, walking onto the pitch and taking the pen.
The manager takes it.
Yes, well, not necessarily the manager. It has to be an ex-player.
No, it
you
should
have
be,
like David Moyes come in and like
absolutely be the manager. It should absolutely be the manager, and that should be a factor in managerial decisions. It should absolutely.
It's like, how's your pen?
Yeah, how are your pens? Yeah.
Nothing would like nothing would like deflate the aura and the legacy of like Pep than just finding out that Pep like just
Can't kick a
absolutely
pen.
chokes pens. Like
He just can't do them. He hits it, but it like slow rolls straight into the goalie, and we're just like, oh, Aura lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. All right, I like it. So that we've fixed my number 3. We didn't
You're welcome,
fix red
world.
cards, but we fixed number 3, and then at one point we'll fix VAR. But for now, this is nice. We fixed penalties.
And VAR should just be like 2 guys on the couch being like, nah, that's not a penalty.
I don't see it.
That's not a penalty.
That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Nah, not for me. I don't think that's a penalty. Nah.
Well,
Yes.
that goes into the whole like championship thing where people are like the championship is better than Prem. People like to argue that because there is no VAR. And so it's like, is it more fun? Is it more entertaining? So then you have these teams coming up to the Prem and vice versa who all of a sudden like lose arguably one of the biggest impacts on each game. It just doesn't exist or it does exist.
And it just objectively, the Premier League is more entertaining than the Championship. But I see your point. I will say this. I was, right before we got on, I was watching, just need a little boost. So but bear with me. I was watching the highlights of that Liverpool-Barcelona like epic comeback from 2019. Just needed a little energy boost.
This tells me a lot of where you're at. All right, fair enough.
It's been a fucking day. It's been a fucking day. It's been 3 days of work trip, got back late last night, and then today's just been back to back. So before this, I was like, you know what? We're just going to inject that for 2 minutes into my veins.
Fun right in my veins.
And what was interesting is that the game-winning goal is this like quick taking corner by Trent Alexander-Arnold, and nobody's watching the play, nobody's watching the corner. It's like this magical moment. If that happened today, immediately that goes to a VAR review. Was Divock Origi offsides? Should they be called back because the players weren't ready? Did the referee actually successfully whistle the play? Like, there are so many moments of magic that immediately get paused and analyzed versus just being moments of magic. And just, guys, I got to be honest, it's sport. Everything washes out. No team is more or less unlucky or gets more breaks or less breaks over the course. It's just not the case.
Well, okay, so can I bring up one example to argue?
But I got to give Mike Weinberg
first.
had the finger up first. Weinberg had the finger up first, yeah.
So here is my
Please.
question. Would we be better off, and taking a point from American sports, would we be better off having like a challenge system that you were able to challenge an offsides or something of that nature once, and if you lose it, you lose it, and if you get it, you get to keep it, which seems to work decently well. That to me seems like a decent middle ground where you're actually getting. I think being able to challenge something where you're like that.
Yeah, you get one, and if you get it right, you get another, and if you don't, you lose it. And then
I
that's
feel like
beautiful
I
because
kinda like that.
Yeah,
guys,
I love that.
I kind of like that.
You're welcome.
We fixed it again.
Fixed number 2. We just fixed
You're welcome, world. Okay,
go.
come on. Come on. But okay, here's the potential argument against this, and the challenge rule actually maybe fixes this, but I still want to bring it up anyway because it's just fun. So one of the most famous goals in the history of football is the Maradona in 1986.
So let's look ahead to the next weekend of the Premier League. Let's move on.
Well, fuck you very much too, I guess, you know?
No, go ahead. Make your point.
Goal,
we know this.
Well, my point is, like, you say, okay, it all works out in the wash. England would have likely won the World Cup that year if it wasn't for a clear handball that went in off of one of the best players of all time.
And we would have lost one of the greatest stories in the sport, and a sport that is referenced 50 years later, and is something that just England fans get to like have their tears over. It's the absolutely, for the state of the sport, the Maradona hand of God is absolutely a net positive.
Okay.
Speaking of net positives, let's look ahead at this week. Because this weekend coming up...
Enough of a transition to get us moving. I respect it.
But look at this weekend. Every game has a pretty significant consequence for the remainder of the year. I mean, not just for literal points in the standings, but also in the table, but also for narratives. And I think the narratives are arguably more important. So if we want to look at, let's start maybe earlier in the weekend and work our way backwards. So starting tomorrow, there's a couple interesting games that I think are relevant early on. Probably the first of the early games that's most relevant is the Spurs game. Spurs lost last weekend. They are now firmly in relegation points and don't really have a very promising schedule ahead. So it's a scary feat for them. Thoughts on that? Anything we want to talk about in terms of relegation or that game to begin with?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
it's going to be interesting to see if De Zerbi could actually have instilled some of his tactics between the last game and this game, because Brighton Hove Albion are a really good team. They're absolutely been better than Spurs this year. But if you just look at the players on the pitch, like it's a pretty even match in terms of like skill level across the board. So I think it'll be really, really telling if De Zerbi was able to get the boys going a little bit more with his mentality, and if they could even pull out a draw, I think that'd be a massive, massive result for them.
Yeah, but there's an additional juicy piece about this. De Zerbi was Brighton's
Right.
coach
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
for almost 3 seasons or 2 seasons,
Right.
and so like that's always extra juicy. And I think the reality is that I think that Spurs will lose this match. They're worse. They're worse than Brighton in terms of,
And they're
the
terrible
way-
at home. And they have not won
they're-
a Premier League game in 2026. We've been saying that for like 6 weeks. We've been making the same
Yeah.
point.
Absurd.
It keeps going. But I mean, yeah, like they will likely lose again. But the De Zerbi factor is interesting because I think so. What he had, Spurs didn't play the midweek, right? They're out of, all right. They were Champions League, so they're out of everything else.
You're
So
aware of that, yes.
He had a full week to prep. Maybe, I think, Michael, you're spot on. The question is just going to be eye test, and you're going to be able to tell within the first 10 minutes.
Totally.
You're going to be able to watch that match for 10 minutes and then turn the TV off and predict the outcome after that, because it's either just, does he have the system in place, or do they still look?
Are they able to press? Are they able to actually get any pressure on the ball on the other half, or are they just going to be like Swiss cheese and let the ball straight through? Like
It's going to be fascinating storyline with that one for the on the bottom side. More.
One last piece of that. They lost their captain Romero to a season-long injury, MCL sprain. So the one like kind of constant also that you would think maybe could be strong in the back is also now gone.
Yes, the one constant. But I will say he's also more constant to pick up a red card in a.
Fair.
He is like, when the stage gets brighter for Spurs, he just tends to pick up reds. It's a very interesting one. I think that's the match that's most interesting for the bottom, for the race, for the relegation, and then it's followed by the absolute juiciest match for the Champions League qualifications.
And I would argue this match, just from like a kit's perspective, is the best contrast. The blue and the red is a pretty amazing contrast when you two get together.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
I
Chelsea
don't know
United,
why. Yeah, Chelsea United. I don't know why. I prefer the color. I prefer the red-blue contrast when it's Arsenal Chelsea. Not to get too into. We should study this and do color hue analysis, but I think I actually prefer the red of Arsenal versus
not the red
Chelsea.
of Liverpool. The red of
the red of Liverpool is too dark for the blue of Chelsea. It doesn't. It's too deep. It's too dark. And okay, I think with that we can move on from the Chelsea match. So then,
Sunday we talked about that enough, right?
All right, so should we talk about Merseyside Derby?
No, we could talk. We could talk more Chelsea Man United if Mike wants.
So much disrespect.
No, don't be mean to my friend. Don't be mean to my friend.
I'd like to make one comment about that match, which is, as Sam, you said to me last week, that this is really like the Champions League hopes pretty much for Chelsea. It rests on this game, which is a Chelsea team that looks like they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And a United team that for the first time last week, I know they had the red card, but even before that, they really didn't look that well oiled. It was one of the first times I've seen in a few months where they looked like there was some cracks in that. And again, Michael Carrick is like mute. I've never seen the guy actually speak one time. Go watch highlights.
So
the guy doesn't talk.
As soon as you said that, he doesn't not talk. He always has the exact same facial.
Yes, yeah, the same like.
Even when he's upset or happy or it's exactly that. But it's very odd because he applies that look to every.
But they show him, and every time he's like, he literally never spoke, not one time. And I'm like, does this guy talk? What is he?
So the storyline I'm looking at, okay, is have people figured out Michael Carrick? Is that what it is? Because there's always like kind of a new manager bump when new managers come into a team, and Man United has been riding high, and honestly, it's probably gotten them into the Champions League. But I think it's like, okay, we've seen him for a couple months now, and like, is it people figuring out the system and
That's a fair
how
point.
to counteract it? And I think this is a perfect example of like, well, I guess we'll see.
It's a fantastic point. I think that's
Good
exactly
point.
the narrative, because that's that happened with Slot. Last year. It was like 4 or 5 months of nobody knew what to do, and then they did, and he hasn't been able to figure it out since. The Carrick thing is we'll see. And what's interesting is that first of all, that's a spot on point. To flip it to Chelsea, I'm looking at the interesting thing about Chelsea. Yes, they haven't won a match since March 7th, so a month and 10 days. But their opponents have been PSG, Newcastle, PSG, Everton, and City, with the exception of a 7-0 against Port Vale. So they've been running around the chickens with their head cut off, but they've also run into the best team in the world, and then currently the hottest team in the world, arguably, with Man City over the last couple weeks. And so it's like, now they're like, okay, this is a massive show me for Chelsea, because United's not that. United tripped up last week. So now it's like, all right, if we still look like shit against United, season's done. But if we can beat them, United might still slip out. Like
There's that's why this weekend is there's so many narrative
it's a
shifts.
massive game. It's a massive game.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it as always with my boys. But thank you for taking the time, guys.
Well, actually, I actually wanted to say one more thing, because I wanted to do this for each of our matches. Where are you watching?
I'm watching at my mom's. I'm in LA, everybody. And I am going to be I see my grandma right before, and then I said to my mom, I gotta be back at 11:45 sharp. We got a 12 o'clock game. And that has all been decided. So I will be glued 4 inches from the TV here. That's kind of the best that I have while I'm
For your eyes, give it at least 12 inches from the TV, okay? I'm concerned about your retinas, okay?
Can you imagine if I was like,
I could imagine.
Yeah,
I absolutely could.
I am that person.
I know.
That's funny. Yes, that is where I'm watching.
Massive game.
All right, let's move on to Sunday.
Move to Sunday.
I think real quick, Villa Sunderland, also an interesting game. I mean, Villa, same thing, fighting Sunderland, doing pretty well. Like, that could be an interesting kind of hard fought, feels like a draw could come. But of course, of these early games, the one to point out is Liverpool at Everton, which Everton is very good this year. And Liverpool, am I correct, Sam, that Liverpool seems to struggle against Everton at Everton? Is that the narrative?
This is new Everton. So this is the first so actually two things. One, quick touch on the Villa match. I think it would be juicier if it was at Sunderland. Sunderland's a much better team at home than they are on the road. I think that Villa can probably play just okay and still get all 3 points. But the dream for all of us is that Villa keeps slipping out. Side note, Mike and I were going back and forth yesterday for about 5 hours across ChatGPT, Claude, Google. Mike then went deep into the rule book, section like 34B of the rule book.
You went into the rule book?
In the rule book.
I went into the rule book because we couldn't get a clean answer on if Villa, who now is in the semis of the Europa League, wins the Europa League and gets the automatic qualification to the Champions League through that, does this Premier League get a 6th team in?
Yes, it does.
And so that's a very confident answer. We've had 5 different answers from our 5 different sources.
I'm pretty sure it does, doesn't it?
There was a bunch of article
nuances
today that said yes if they're in 5th, but not if they're in 4th. Don't understand why.
Or if they're in 6th.
Or they're 6th. Only in 5th do they get it for some reason. And so what I don't understand too is, like, in the rule book, it was pretty clear to me that that's not the case. And even on UEFA's website, it seemed that's not the case. So no one fucking knows. I don't even think they know. And it's what makes this shit so complicated, because we're going to come out there and be like, so who should we give it to? Because we've made it so confusing that no one actually knows who's going to get it.
And it
maybe
is going
that's
to
the
be
point.
some club based on the UEFA coefficient rankings of the
Which I think is Club
Nations
Brugge
League.
right now.
And it's like, yeah,
Right.
like
It's going to literally be like some club. Exactly. It'll be like a
Yeah.
Club Rouge or some shit.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Anyway, so
moral of
we
the
don't know
story
who we're
is
rooting
we
for.
don't know. So the safest bet is just let's have Villa keep losing all their Prem matches and have Villa win the Europa League. Great. Yes. On to the Merseyside derby. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. I think that Liverpool will be lucky to get a draw here. They will not win. A, because they're just not very good. B, because they have a manager who has lost the faith of the club, team, organization staff, back office staff.
It's funny. Listen to the
food
words you just
staff,
said.
everything.
Listen to the words you just said. That's exactly when I said Liverpool and Chelsea are the same. That is exactly the way I describe Chelsea. And you're like, absolutely not. Don't you put me in the same, wording with that
It's a good point.
piece of garbage.
It's a good point. But also, listen, Sam, it's a derby, baby. We're throwing all the rule books out the window. It's a derby. The boys are fired up. The fans are fired up,
Yes, I will. Well, yeah, that's true. I will say two things. I hope that, so Ekitike is out for, I don't want to talk about that. That's too depressing.
Sucks.
RIP, that's fucking awful.
Just so I feel
Fucking
So
sucks.
sad. So sad. I mean, everyone
Also,
is
he
sad.
would have been like pairing up with Mbappe during the World Cup. You kidding me?
Oh,
And so anyway, that's too sad to talk about. But I hope that for this one, I hope they give the start to Rio at the left wing. That will make things more interesting. But no, the reality is like Liverpool, even when Liverpool is flying, and this was even during the Klopp years, when Liverpool was flying, when they play Everton at Everton, everything's out the window, and usually it's a gritty, bad, tough to watch game that usually doesn't end well. And this year we're way worse than we usually are. So no. That being
Everton's
said,
better. Everton's better.
yeah, Everton's good. Everton's good.
Yeah.
Last year they were fighting for relegation. We forget that. They were like deep
And they're
down in
fighting
there
for
to
Champions
win.
League.
and
They're
it was like
actually
a
not
couple
far off from
seasons in a
Champions
row
League.
of that too.
That's true. We met that guy at Patty's in Park Slope that one time. The Everton fan, Michael, remember that? And he was just like super
Yeah.
depressed. He was like,
Oh, yeah.
his life. That guy's flying now.
Oh, he's loving it right now. It's the flying
So-
Jack Grealish's.
Regardless of this, I, partially because I think it's going to be a really tough game to watch, I will be going to Carragher's with a couple buddies, and I will be drunk by kickoff.
As you should. As you should. Is your right. Is your red blood American.
And then
English
everything's
fan,
okay.
right?
After that,
Yeah.
everything's okay.
So let's talk about after that. Unless Michael, you have anything you want to share about Everton Liverpool, because I think we should get on to the main event, the undercards for the main event, which actually fits quite nicely into this storyline, which is City and Arsenal. Arsenal is going to the Etihad for what has become, from a media storyline standpoint, even though, as Sam so eloquently put to me earlier, Arsenal still 87% chance to win the league, according to the most recent, I think, Opta stats graph. But the narrative, City is steamrolling teams right now, and Arsenal has been like barely hanging on the last week or two with pretty mediocre performances.
Yes.
And we are coming into a moment where City somewhat controls their fate at this point because they have the game in hand and they're playing Arsenal, and then that would actually get them to even if they win. So it creates this shaking in my boots kind of vibe going on, and the Arsenal fans are freaking out. But what a fucking heavyweight battle!
I mean, this
is insane.
This is the biggest match of the Arteta era. This is a era-defining match, I would say. I mean, obviously, Arsenal fans are nervous. I mean, we've had a history of let leads slip, and it's not good. And I'm hoping we can right the ship on Sunday. As frankly, what else can I do? I'm going to be watching with two other Arsenal buddies, and ironically enough, so one of which just had a brand new baby, and so we're going over to his place. Brand new baby, fresh.
As opposed to
an old baby like myself.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Used,
medium
old baby like myself.
A medium age.
It is a fresh, real baby. Okay, and we're going over there, and we're going to watch there, and I'm trying to take a new approach because as Sam and Mike both very well know, Normally in a game like this, I would be like locking myself in a room with all the lights off and the TV on, and I'd be like covered up, just like watching, terrified for my fucking life. But I'm trying to take a new approach and be with some friends and take it a little bit lighter than I maybe normally do, and just try to.
I don't know. So you're putting others in
it.
harm. You're putting others in harm's way now.
That's exactly right. Yes.
I don't know if that's
that
what
baby's
we
in
had
danger.
Yeah, very much two different ways to read this. I think I will go with the positive way of you're trying. You're trying to take a little bit more of a mature approach. Hilariously enough, the only person that is going to be white knuckling it on their couch is our newest Premier League fan, Mike, which fits. I feel like this is like if I was 2 years in, I would still be white knuckling it on the couch. That being said, listen, I was doing a little bit of a little mental trip down memory lane. I think you can make a very easy argument that this is the single biggest Premier League match in the last 10 years. And I don't think I think you could put this up with any of them, because very rarely does this happen this late in the season. And when you combine it with the double narratives of the City machine now rolling again. Hey, by the way, everyone, they just won their first league match after 2 straight draws, but people seem to forget that. Before this match, they had drawn against West Ham and Nottingham Forest, but that's just thrown away.
No hablo inglés.
And they got
And before Arsenal's latest loss, they had won, I believe, 4 straight in the league. So or something like that. So it is, but because of these dual storylines, because it's Pep versus Arteta, the student versus the teacher, because it's the perennial champions versus the perennial, I won't use the word, and you can make the argument that this is the single biggest game in the last 10 years of the Premier League.
I agree. And it's also, to be fair, the storylines are also enhanced because they sell papers and people hate Arsenal. That's just the straight truth of it. And people want to see Arsenal bottle it. That is what they want. That is what everybody wants. I know it. And I really don't get it. And we're going to have a topic. No, I really don't. One team has won 6 out of the last 8 titles.
Not today.
No, let the other team,
6 out of the last 8 titles, and has 115 charges of cheating that is essentially confirmed, right? That's one side, right? The other side is a English team that hasn't won in 20 years and is fighting tooth and nail to try to get their first title in 20 years, and is the most hated team in the country, and it's not even close. People absolutely despise it. So yeah, the media is leaning into the narratives because it's selling papers, and I totally understand that. And frankly, okay, whatever. Hopefully it goes our way, and if it doesn't, there'll be a lot of really happy people.
All right.
For today, I don't have much more to add.
Let's let that be there, because I do think we should have there's a more interesting conversation here later. I think let's let that dog lie for now.
Yeah, let's let it lie. The moral of the story, the quote for Michael on this talk for now is, "I don't get it. He doesn't get it." And that was that's where we'll
that's the quote.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's wrap it up now. Maybe one parting thought that anyone have of this weekend? Anything that they're want to say on the way out?
Let me go first. I will reiterate that as a outside of Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal fan perspective, doesn't get any better than this. Month left in the season. Sorry, this is embarrassing. Six matches left or 5 matches left?
6 matches after this.
6.
6 matches left of the season. Month left of the season. Every single battle to play for, plus Champions League semifinals, plus Europa League semifinals. Actually, plus Europa League semifinals that have implications potentially on Premier League Championship places.
We still don't know, but in theory.
We haven't even talked about Championship. You have every single battle in the last month, and I mean, come on. Doesn't get any better than that.
Doesn't get any better. Michael, anything you want to share?
This is why they've created beta blockers for moments like this. So,
God, we're into drug use now. Okay, well, that's fine. I will end
Could
on.
have just gone with beer, but
beer too. Just sedate yourself.
Dennis. I'm going to end on one thing that I was surprised to find out because Chelsea's playing the FA Cup next week. We actually have a Prem game on Tuesday. So we're playing tomorrow and Tuesday, which is wild. I'm going to be on the flight for it, but I should have internet, so I should be able to watch, which is kind of the dream when you get your team to sit on a flight, like best way to do anything on a flight. But yeah, there's games all next week.
We have midweek.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, it's like a leak of games, like just a
Oh
trickle
no, it's
of different games.
No, it's the catch-up games. Oh, it's the catch-up FA Cup game. So this is when City gets their game in hand back. Oh,
yeah, Burnley.
Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, so this makes Sunday even juicier because City will play again before Arsenal
on Wednesday.
So literally,
that's right.
If they, it could literally be even on points. Oh my God, this is the biggest game last 10 years of the Prem.
Yep, I think we established that.
That's my quote. That's my quote.
No pressure, but this is the biggest game ever.
I actually don't think that's...
No pressure.
Whatever. Let's leave it on that. I'm not going to get into it. All right. Thank you all for tuning in this week. We will surely have a very...
Doesn't get it. Pressure.
And on that note, Premericans, take care. We will see you next week. Goodbye.